Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, BG.
It's Florence, the fiance.
And we are back.
We're back. Could you
part
not hear
two.
me?
No, I did. I had to burp. That's why there was that delay. We back, baby. Hillsong part 2.
Hillsong part 2. Yeah. Do you know, I'm so disconnected from this Hillsong. I spent the whole, since we last recorded, all my spare moments, watching Harry Potter. So, I'm very much in a Harry Potter state.
Interesting.
You haven't watched them, right? And your whole thing is that you feel like it's past the time.
Yeah, what's the point?
No. We're going to do a marathon.
But I feel like it's not going to be the same.
It's not about, it's like saying, because I haven't watched Pulp Fiction when everybody had watched it, I will never watch it.
No, but Pulp Fiction is like...
Do you know why it's still relevant? Okay, so I went to Harry Potter, Warner Brothers Studios, Harry Potter.
Yeah, do you know, and also she went, and she had her story. You know when someone's stories is like bare little dots. And so I started to click through it. I was getting the gist that she's in Harry Potter world. And I said, this means absolutely nothing to me. And so I just clicked out that story.
So when I went there, it was so shocking to me that the people that were there, obviously there were people my age, there were people my boss's age, there were people of all age ranges, but there were actually little kids who were so excited wearing the whole Harry Potter whatever. Yeah,
because their parents are like you.
No, but the thing is that either way, it's a good franchise.
Okay.
You're so
I can't say it's
cynical
not.
and
I
skeptical
can't say it's
and
not a good
above
franchise because I don't.
everything.
I'm not above it. I just don't see the point of going.
But the point is not that you've missed the hype. The point is that it's still a good franchise that if you haven't watched, you're even lucky because you get to watch it from the beginning without
you get to experience it from the beginning.
Fam, even me, I was just watching the second to last one, and something happened and I was like. And then I was like, bitch, you've watched this shit before. You know what the end is going to be. What are you gasping for? I even had to, check my own fucking self. It still does that to you. So, the next time...
So, are you saying I should watch or I should read?
It's up to you, but I don't see you as much of a reader.
Not these days. And if I'm going to read, it's not Harry Potter, I'll read.
Exactly. So, I say you watch. Well, the next time I come, we're going to do...
Okay.
And do you know the funny thing is, when you finish, you're going to be like... Oh my fucking days, is this what I was missing? Da, 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 da. And I'm going to be like, yeah, bitch, I told you.
Okay.
Because it has everything you would want in a good...
Okay, I look forward to that day.
Okay, fine. Anyways, guys, yeah, so I'm so far removed from Hillsong. I've been, in fucking Hogwarts and shit. For those of you who've watched it and understand my reference.
I understand Hogwarts. And Hermione
Okay.
and them, man.
Yeah, and Ron and Harry.
Yeah, with the red hair. Yeah, listen, I know them niggas.
Voldemort and et al.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not allowed to say his name. Is he the one you can't say his name? He hasn't got a nose.
According to Dwight. Do you know what? I tweeted
Always
this.
lead to the office.
Fam, I tweeted this. I was like, do people think he has a dick? And everybody was like, oh, no. But for those who've watched it, please can someone comment, respond, let us know. Do you think Voldemort has a penis? I know we're not that
is he a
kind
man,
of pod.
or is he a thing?
He's meant to be a man, but oh god, yeah, he's a man. I don't want to just ruin it for you. I can't believe I'm saying this in 2022.
Spoilers.
He's a man. He's a man, but he's done so much shit to himself. Not BBL type of shit.
Surgery. Oh, okay.
Not that kind
I was like, huh? What happened? I really should watch.
No, spiritual shit that's made him all weird and shit. But yeah, I just wondered. But okay, back to Hillsong. All right, so guys, we left you last time when we see this magical email being typed. And then I can't actually remember if we had discussed what happens after the email had been sent.
So the last thing that we discussed was she gets a message from Reneen. Reneen is the mistress. Guys, if you've not listened to episode 1, this is episode 2, so go back and listen to our episode 1.
Yeah, you do need to listen to 1 to listen to 2.
Yeah, Reneen gets a message from Carl saying, they can't text each other because they found everything on his computer, and he basically paid for them to bury her name so no one would know who she was. But then here she is.
Okay, yeah, so do you know what? Yeah, this is when I was at first I wouldn't say I was with Reneen. I was just oh, okay, this babe is just telling her story. She wants to be part of the doc. But after this, I was really yeah, this bitch, I'm not going to say she's...
Bitch.
I'm not going to say she slept with him for fame, but I think when she clocked what it was going to be, she capitalized off of it. Because why would you then come out and be that, yo, you've paid all this money to have me hidden, but here I am. Everyone's going to know who I am. And then she has like a fashion line as well. And it's like, you don't even look good in this story because you were just somebody who was, one thing to not know like your like significant other is married, but you actively knew from the second you started with him that he was married and you followed it through. So I don't even know what she's doing this like whole, I don't even know what her vibe is like.
So her vibe is, she says that, you know, she doesn't want to be silenced. She wants to tell her story. And
Silenced
I'm like,
by what?
But nobody knows who you are. Like, as far as you're concerned, as far as we're concerned, there's just Carl Lentz slept with someone who wasn't his wife. We don't know
this
who
is
she
the point.
But then she came out to say, I want to tell my side of the story. It's not as if they were like, oh, Carl Lentz slept with this woman, and then everyone's berating you and chatting shit about you, No one knows who you are. Like,
this is the point.
Fade into obscurity.
But this point, it's not even about like, oh, no one knows who you are, but it's also just like, you don't have a side. You slept with a married man knowingly.
Yeah.
So it's not like
what is your side?
Yeah, like, what is your side? Literally, like, it's not like, oh, like, there's some hidden secret or something, or like, he did something. Yeah, like, he was abusive, like, he was abusive. She says he was abusive and stuff like that. But, you know, like, either way, like, it's not like it was some hidden secret, like, oh, like, he never told me he was married. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This is why I was just like, this babe was looking for...
She basically was as complicit as he was.
Yeah, and she coming out and all this chat she's doing is just for the fame.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Or the infamy.
So Jacqueline and Sammy feel vindicated when this story kind of comes out, because they're like, yeah, like, we were shamed by Carl, and it's always funny to see like the person who shamed you is actually living in the shame that they shamed you for.
Literally doing what he shamed you for. But where?
The shamer.
Because no one was adulterizing but you.
Literally, the shamer is now the shamed.
Amen.
So
the first will become last, or the last will become first.
So obviously we know that Hillsong has decided to fire Carl, and like some of the talking heads are basically saying that this decision was about what was best for the corporation.
Of course.
Not like
business.
Yeah, because if you really think about it, nobody is without sin, right? Cool. So I do not expect that my priest or my pastor has not sinned. So if this church was really on like redemption and this and that, they might just say to him, okay, you can't preach for some time, or like take some time, focus on your family. But the decision to fire him was because his image no longer suits the corporation. It doesn't suit the business.
Yeah,
it's not
true.
about saving souls or lives. It's
like you know, the episode we did, the downfall, the Boeing one, when all that stuff happened, and then they got rid of the CEO person who was the face of the thing, to kind of just be like, all right, cool, this is bad vibes. You are like, but it's worse in this case because Carl is literally synonymous with Hillsong. So it's like, listen, you're making us look bad. Like, yeah, cool, you can chat to Jesus about your forgiveness. As for this place, as for this business, then it's not happening.
Yeah, it's all over, Jackie.
Don't cry, don't beg.
So, to help us understand a bit more on Hillsong's position on Carl leaving, on-screen text tells us on the 17th of April 2021, we get leaked audio between Brian Houston and Hillsong leadership. They're discussing Carl Lentz firing. And this audio gets leaked onto YouTube.
The significant nature and the serious nature of the moral issues just meant that I believed, and our global board believes, that the only way to go was to terminate Carl and really start with a fresh start.
So basically, they're just saying in this clip that the moral magnitude of his behaviour left the global board feeling like they had no choice but to terminate him. And they reiterate that they did not know about the affair. And one of the talking heads, so they're two and I actually really like them. They're two priests and they're based in Ukraine. And I was thinking when I was watching this,
I really like them.
I was like, I hope these two are okay, like, with everything going on. But basically, they were like, think about this. Hillsong has so many hidden secrets and this and that the public never hears about. For this to get leaked, they wanted it to get leaked.
And
because
perfectly clear, crisp audio. Not like it's in someone's pocket. Not like literally so clear. Just very clear. Very, I'm facing the mic. As you people hear me now, that's how.
Right.
Even better, that's how they heard the thing.
Okay.
The leak. Oh, suddenly, I said,
Fam, what's that thing that Mike Todd says when he preaches? He's like, am I in someone's kitchen now or something like that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, and I don't want to discuss that, man. But I know what you're talking about. It's like, oh, do you hear me? Do you feel me? Like, is somebody hearing what I'm saying, kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coming in your house now, something like that. But that's how I feel on this pod. Okay, cool. So, on-screen text tells us that the affair came to light when Tolu Badders, and what a name!
I said Tolu Badders.
As in Ushe Badders.
Ushe Badders.
Come on. I did go to search Tolu and I didn't like her.
Oh, it's a girl?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it was a guy.
No, it's a girl. She's Nigerian. She's Nigerian.
Of course she's Nigerian. Tolu.
She's
Tolu
COO
Badders.
of Hillsong, which already is like...
Oh,
and then,
okay.
like, she's... Well, I mean, this part, but she's married to, like, a white guy. So I could just tell the kind of...
Oh, okay. The kind of black that she is. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Say no more.
Yeah. So...
I just know what her braids look like.
Fam. Okay, go and... She's very accessible. Go and... After you finish, go and search. Tolu Badders is now the CEO of Hillsong, and she discovers the text between Ranin and Carl on his work laptop. And this is why, like...
How?
I don't know. And this is why I say men are stupid. Like, if I was going to cheat, like, I would have a whole different cell phone at everything, yeah? Mm-hmm. Why would you then, like, be doing all your shenanigans on your work laptop?
I don't think it's that. I think, that they knew about him having an affair, and it was fine. It didn't bother them. It was fine and dandy. And it was kind of like just keeping something in the holster, like, okay, cool. If this guy gets out of hand or if he gets too big for his bridges, then we can expose this thing. That's what it
I
seemed
get
like
that,
to
but
me.
still just don't do it on your work laptop. That's my point.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. That means it must have been on the work. I just don't believe that they really found it on the work laptop. I think they just,
No, I think they did.
Someone that's smart enough to give you notes app instead of contacts doesn't know that they shouldn't use... Anyway, maybe he really thought he was just above everything.
Yeah, exactly. I think they knew before they said they knew, obviously. But I think this babe did find it on his work laptop because men are stupid.
Well,
yeah. So, they find it on his work laptop, allegedly, and they share it with Brian. And
imagine you're a pastor trying to pray to the Lord, and someone comes and says, "Hey,
excuse me,
by the
sorry, just BTW." So our Ukrainian pastors basically say that this isn't true. They told Brian about Carl's immoral and inappropriate behavior a while ago, and he'd been doing things like smoking and drinking. And like, I don't think smoking and drinking are immoral behaviors. I mean, obviously, it depends on to what extent you're smoking and drinking.
And what you're doing while you're under the influence
exactly.
of said drink
or
smoke.
Either way, they say that they've been telling
But
them.
I do also think that as a pastor, like, you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. And so, like, why are you at the bar with me? Like,
Jesus turned water into wine. I think
but
that
did he drink the wine? Did he drink the wine? So if the pastor gives me wine, that's okay.
I assume he did. I assume he did.
Know. I'm sorry, there is nowhere in the scripture that they said Jesus took them shots.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a pastor drinking. I think there's something wrong with you.
In a bar. I think just, like, getting drunk, though. To be honest, I feel like getting drunk is just very unbecoming.
I mean, it's unbecoming of anyone. Who wants to
That's what I'm saying. I didn't say it of just them. It's you're not your best self when you're drunk, regardless of who you are. And so when you're meant to be a man of the cloth, it's like, oh, I can't imagine, like, a pastor just being, like, just drunk, just in a bar with the...
I mean, yeah, like, I don't think you should be drunk and all that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking. Like, yeah, if he's drinking and he's smoking, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Inherently wrong with it.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't look at him and be like, oh my gosh. Like,
maybe
for me, if anything, like, your pastor is not the closest thing to God. Like, he's meant to be someone who has taken the time out to read and understand the scriptures and can help you on that path. The problem with a lot of Christians is they see their pastors as like a demigod. Yeah, so I would actually prefer it if my pastor was having a drink, because I'd be like, okay, you're a human being. I can relate to you. I can come to you and have honest conversations, and you can teach me about the scripture in a way that's relatable to me. What business do I have with someone who doesn't drink?
Hear that. Yeah. I hear that. But I feel like with Carl specifically, when you couple him drinking, him smoking with all his other behaviours, it's just a trifecta of shit.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he's been having issues. That's not his only issue.
That's what I mean. I think for him, it's like, eesh, this is it's a sticky one still.
Of course. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, he's not somebody to use as any sort of good example. So basically they're saying Hillsong has been covering up his mess. So on-screen text also tells us that two former, and unfortunately towards the end of this documentary, I think they also got tired because there was a lot of on-screen text.
Oh, what was I reading?
I'm not gonna always say everything verbatim. I'll give you the gist.
Yep.
So two former employees had brought up multiple reports of sexual impropriety against Carl to leadership in 2017. And those former employees were former because they were dismissed. So this is how Hillsong handles their business, right? Cool. So some people think that Carl... So the talking heads have a little debate about why Carl was fired. And the two biggest kind of, I guess, opinions are, one, he was getting too big and he was becoming the face of Hillsong, whereas Brian wanted to still be seen as the face of Hillsong, which is plausible. And second of all, he was thinking about leaving and starting a new church, and he would then be taking people with him because he built up such him. Yeah. He'd built up such a reputation, and obviously they wouldn't want that. So we meet Anna Crenshaw, who's a former church member, Hillsong church member, and she also went to Hillsong College. Now, we'll talk a bit more about Hillsong College later, but one thing I can tell you is I don't understand this college. I still don't. When I searched, I tried to understand what it was.
Yeah, what is it? Because I thought it was like a Bible school. Because churches have Bible schools where you learn about the Bible. But some of the people they introduced, they were into media and arts. And I was like, so is it a degree? Like, do you get an actual degree? You
do get a degree, but from what I understand, you do get a degree, but they're focused on biblical, is it theology or something like that? So it's more Christian subjects, basically. Those are the only degrees they offer. And then there are other things you can do for credit and whatever. That's what I understood anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we learn a bit about Jason May's family, and it's all linked to Anna. So his family and his wife's family are a major part of Hillsong, and not just Hillsong, going to church, but the administration as well. They all work within the Hillsong family. Yeah. So Anna's saying how she goes to this dinner where Jason is there with his friend, and he has a lot of drinks. And he's trying to chat to her, basically, and he puts his hand on her thigh, and she's like, bro, it's not happening. Yeah. And then his friend clocks and is like, let's get these girls home, basically, because Anna's come with her friend. So when she stands up to leave, he starts to touch her crotch, lift up her shirt, grab her, and just touch her in really inappropriate ways. And then on the journey home, the friend is apologizing, basically asking her to just keep it between them. He doesn't usually behave that way. And she does for a while, because she felt that, one, she didn't know how to come out and say this thing. And two, Jay's dad was the head of HR. So what was the point? Kind of thing. And she also felt at the end of the day, when you come out and you say this thing about someone, it's not just affecting the two of you, it's also going to affect your families and everything else. So she wasn't on it.
It's bigger than her. And I hear it. I get why she would feel that way, but fuck that guy.
Yeah. But especially in an environment like Hillsong, I really do understand why she made that decision. So in December of 2018, Anna reports the assault to Hillsong's head of pastoral care because she was suffering a lot, anxiety, and she was still having to see him. So
exactly, you can't.
It was getting a bit too much. Yeah,
and she starts going to therapy. Do you know what I mean? And so she's kind of working through her issues, and then she's like, "Okay, cool. I have the strength. I can
actually do this now." Yeah. So after she reports this, Anna gets called 3 times into the office to recount her story, but it's not in a way when you're doing police investigations, they want to check, and it's not like that. It's they're trying to poke holes in her story. She was at times they'll be to her, oh, so are you sure his wife wasn't there that day, when she'd specifically said that she wasn't
there, yeah.
So it was they're trying to catch her out.
But also, I feel even if she'd come in and said the exact same thing word for word 3 times, then it would have been oh, why is it so polished? Why are you saying the exact same thing every single time?
Because they just want to discredit. Yeah,
exactly. They want to discredit her, yeah.
Yeah. So Anna says,
if a student does something wrong, whether that is get drunk or drink alcohol or they sleep with their partner, you're sent home. It is serious. It is something they take really seriously. Yet, if a person on staff assaults a student, it's looked at differently. That does not line up.
And therein really lies the crux of like
everything.
Hillsong. Like everything they do is for them to look good. It's not about the care of others, because if this student is a Christian that's come and is at your college, you should be taking care of them. It's not about covering up things because that's what seems best for like the business. So at a point, Anna's had enough of the back and forth, and she hands communication over to her dad, Ed, because she feels overwhelmed. And so
Ed is the dad. Do you remember last episode? And I was like, oh, the pastor of the Victory Church, and I can't remember his name, and I didn't think he was going to come back. That is her dad. Okay,
perfect. So Hillsong is forced to report this to police, and Anna didn't actually want this to go to police. She just wanted Hillsong to handle it, but they obviously are unable to, so they report it to the police.
Clearly.
And Jason was charged with assault and an act of indecency, and Hillsong suspends him for a year without pay. So at a point, Anna and Ed cooperate with a Christian newspaper, and they tell their story. They talk about Hillsong's kind of response and everything. And in Hillsong's response to them, they basically try to discredit Anna further. So it's further just like victim shaming and trauma because...
You're like re-victimizing her,
Exactly. They basically say that the first time she ever reported it, like she's lying in the paper that the first time she reported it was the first time they take a written statement, which isn't true. She'd come in to speak about this 2 other times, but that was just the first time they asked for a written statement. And so basically this is just what they do. We see some of the ways they behave to their victims. And it's more about the church's PR than members, because if it was really about members and being Christians and all of that, you would call her and be like to her, bro, like, we know what happened to you was fucked up. How can we support you? Let's pray. Whatever you need to do, even if she's going through therapy, as a community, come together and support her. But instead of doing that, you want to discredit her because for you, it's all about the PR of the business and them, you guys looking good, so you can get more like bums on seats. And it's fucked up. So after the car length scandal, people start coming forward, and there's a lot of talk about financial abuse. And I was wondering when we would get here, because a lot of these churches, like, it's important for you to know what they're doing with your money. And people start speaking about church money being used for pastors' personal spending at Hillsong. And basically the church just responds saying that if there's personal expenditure within the church by pastors, they are, they have to reimburse immediately. That's just their response. So Hillsong is things are just coming out about Hillsong. Between the financial abuse, people are saying that they've seen senior staff members having inappropriate relationships and even having sex in the church. And celebrities start to distance themselves from this church.
Is like Greenleaf. This is the episode of Greenleaf.
It's no longer a celebrity church. And Brian Houston goes on this media tirade to like clean the church's image. So he's doing all these stupid speeches he's doing and lectures and whatever. I don't know what he's doing, preaching all this nonsense, really attacking the media. And then he makes the massive faux pas of bringing up Anna's previous sexual assault as an excuse. And basically what he's trying to say is that, listen, this happened at her dad's church when she was a fucking kid, by the way.
Yep.
This happened at her dad's church. It can happen anywhere. It's not like it's just Hillsong. And again, that's just the wrong fucking like response to...
Like, why would you in your mind think that? Like, we didn't need to know that. Nobody needed to know that. And it's like, it's even worse because it's like, she's gone through this before. You know she's gone through this before, and you handled it in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
Like...
Literally. Yeah. So this is basically the end of episode 2. And now we're at episode 3. For those of you
Revelations.
Revelation,
which is
literally the book of Revelations.
It's so corny. I knew they were going to do some shit like this. You know, it's not a Christian that came up with these titles. They were like, oh, what's that book in the Bible called?
So for those of you that have watched the documentary itself, we're at episode 3 now. So we start off talking about Brian and the Hillsong brand, and the college is part of the brand. And like I was saying before, I do not understand Hillsong College, but, we're going to learn a bit more about them. So with this college, it's all about getting them in and influencing them young, because from this college, they then should be able to go on to preach and do work for Hillsong. So it's kind of indoctrinating them like from a younger age, right? And the branding makes Hillsong College look like the land of hopes and dreams. Like,
Yep.
you see the adverts, even for some non-Christians, it's like, wow, I really want to go there because they're doing things, they're
like,
helping people.
Pacific Coast Academy in Zoe 101. Like, you just see
Oh
the
my
kids walking
God.
around with their backpack. It looks so perfect, beautiful. Like, you really want to go there, you know? That's
Yeah.
the vibe it gives. But college.
Yeah. So one of the talking heads said, basically we see some talking heads who've gone to Hillsong College, and they each have different stories just about how it wasn't great and stuff like that. And I didn't write their names because it was a small segment in the documentary, and yeah, but I'll give you like a snapshot of what they discuss. So one said that she felt no help or no care at Hillsong. Like, essentially she was broke at a point because her check hadn't come through and there was no support at all, kind of thing. The
And
environment.
her situation was weird because her check goes missing. So,
Yeah.
like, she should have had the check. Like, it should have been received. So it's like, okay, Hillsong, where is the check?
Yeah. And it's just weird because you are a Christian college, so you'd expect that people would band together and like help you because you're doing the work of Christ. But these people are like, oh no, Miss Mamas, like, if you don't have that money, you are out on your own. Like, it's just so strange to me. And then they have this screening process about whether you could work with children or not, and there's a red light and a green light. So to do this screening, you'd have to give intimate details about your life, and basically it becomes clear that it's less about the working with kids and it's just about them using personal things against you, because if you have done certain things in your past, then you can't take certain courses, you have to do extra credit, you have to do this and do that, and it's kind of like ostracizing you and punishing
And so
you.
everybody knows as well, because it's like, why can't you do this one? Because you didn't pass your fit to work with children. You got red light,
which means maybe you had a little bit of premarital sex, like,
yeah, or you drank some alcohol, or you. And so this is what I mean about the whole car lengths and drinking thing, right? If in your college people are not allowed to drink, then it just makes sense that they would carry that over.
Oh,
to
yeah, of course, yeah.
the strict culture of that thingy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this woman, like, oh no, you're gonna go into it. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So one of the women speaks about how for her it was really difficult because she had been sexually assaulted, and from what she said, she was like forcibly like not drugged but forced to drink alcohol and stuff like that. And she felt really worried. Like, she reads an extract from her diary during the time about how worried she is about sharing this with the like counselors, because she thinks she might not get the green light, and you know, how's she going to open up, and she felt a lot of shame. So she says when she finally goes in to discuss like her past with them, although they give her the green light, they basically do not acknowledge that this was sexual assault. They say to her essentially that, okay, well, thank you for confessing your sins, like, you've been forgiven, we can move forward. And
So crazy.
it's just fucking insane.
Because
Like,
even
it's
the way
so
that
insane.
they bring her story up, it's like for a lot of her story, I thought that she had just had sex, and that was just her thing.
Yeah.
She'd had sex and whatever. And then we find out that actually she was sexually assaulted. So, no, you haven't had sex. You were sexually assaulted. You're not chosen to have sex. And she was so concerned because she's like, oh, well, technically I'm not a virgin. Like, am I going to be green light? So all of that anxiety and shame that you shouldn't even have because you were a victim. And they don't turn around and say, listen, none of this is your fault. You're fine. They say, okay, well, you know, you've come to Christ. You've repented. It's like, we've forgiven you for being sexually assaulted. What?
Yeah.
Like, so when you say it like that, it's so stupid.
Mate, it's crazy. So, we also learned that before you join Hillsong College, you have to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
Which is,
An
again, a red
NDA?
flag. To
Imagine
go
going to
school.
uni and they're like, yeah, you need to sign this NDA.
I mean, what the fuck are you people doing in here that I need to
What do I need
not be
to
able
not
to
disclose? Literally.
Fam. And like, a lot of people don't even know what they're signing because they're kids. They don't.
Yeah.
They just want to join college, so they
It's
sign.
just paperwork. And there's hella paperwork.
You can't record your lectures. Nothing. It's weird. So the church would also use the college students for free labor. So like, when you see like a Hillsong production, like the lights, the this, the sound, the another way they're making money is because they're not paying people for this work. It's
Pretty
the
little
people
thing.
that go to college that do this thing for extra credit, or volunteers who take up a huge chunk of their time doing these things. They don't pay, because if they were paying for all these things they do, they wouldn't be making the kind of money
The
they're
profit
making.
wouldn't be good. It's like these fast fashion brands. Like the reason why your profit can be so, all these big corporations, the reason your profit can be so high is because someone's getting
you're
shafted
underpaid.
somewhere.
Yeah. So a lot of this church is about money. Like we said, it's a business. And our Ukrainian pastors are basically saying that, like, they had to fund in Ukraine, they had to pay the Australian, like, headquarters a certain amount of money. And then not only would they do that, they would have to have these speakers that come, and they would pay for, like, their first class flights, 5-star hotels, and they were charging them the same way they were charging other Hillsong branches. And they were like, Ukraine is largely like an impoverished country. The average salary is $300. We do not have the money that these other branches have
here. Yeah.
and they would be chastised if they were unable to pay for some of these things. So in comes Barry Bowen, and he's a PI, and he says,
there is a famous Bible verse where Jesus said, you cannot serve God and money. When your goal is to serve God and get rich at the same time, it can create all kinds of moral compromises.
and he does investigations of religious fraud. And I couldn't really understand the ins and outs, but basically we learned that Hillsong has over 44 limited liability companies, which means if they get sued, they don't have to sell any of their property to pay off and things like that. They've basically done some dodgy dealings, and it's a red flag because your church should not be a company. Like, it shouldn't be like it's not a company.
Well, maybe a charity. They have to be registered as something, because in order to get tithes and
but
offerings...
there's something that churches are registered, but it's not company.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I think it's either a charity or I don't know. There's something.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a company that makes money.
Like a legal company.
Yeah. So this is the bit that's really dark. So trigger warning, child abuse. So we learned that...
Sorry, before we get into this, I was just at this point, I was like, we're on episode 3. We've already heard a lot of shit.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of documentary left. Like,
What
what
could
the
they be
hell's going to happen?
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, what more could there be? And at this point, I was really starting to zone out. And then...
This happened. That's what happened to me. I was like,
Yeah.
I might leave it at this because I'm kind of tired and I'm bored. And then this happens. They could have cut out a lot of middle stuff and then, put this in.
But still, I think we needed that recovery, because to go straight from Carl and them man to this, I don't know how
it would have been insane. So we learned that this bullshit just started from the beginning. So obviously before Hillsong became Hillsong, it was another church that Frank founded. I don't know if you wrote down the name.
Yeah, Christian Hill's Life or something. I said it in the last episode.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, so he founded that church. And then obviously it grew under Brian and became Hillsong. So we learned that there's been child abuse in this congregation, and it's been in the hands of Frank. So a member who at this point hasn't been disclosed says that he was 7 or 8 years old, and his family was family friends with Pastor Frank. Whilst Frank was establishing his church, he would also sexually abuse him. And they would be all having like a sleepover. Frank would come in the middle of the night and abuse this boy. He would take him into private rooms and do all sorts. Like, it was intense.
Yeah.
Like, it was really
Very
intense. Like, this man
deliberate.
had a problem. So after being anonymous for 40 years, Brett Sangstock. Okay. So after being anonymous for 40 years, Brett Sangstock comes out and he reveals his identity in 2018. And this is done out of frustration because he felt that the church was not handling the situation or recognizing it the way he wanted it to be
done.
Yeah, so he was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna even come out and say, like, you know. So he tells us, well, he doesn't tell us, but we learned that he told his mum about this abuse. And this
is why I say not everybody needs to be a parent, honestly.
Yeah. I hope wherever she is, she's not resting in peace.
Amen.
Because she basically says,
after I told her about the abuse, my mother said words to the following effect: you don't want to be responsible for turning people from the church and sending them to hell.
What does that have to do with me? You're not worried about the one who did this to me going to hell. Is that my... So
Or that
because I tell the truth, that's going to turn people away from God. That's going to... And this is what, you know what you were saying about people just see their pastors as either God or God adjacent kind of thing. It's like, instead of you to look at it and be like, this is a man who is deeply flawed and a paedophile, yeah?
Yeah, and
that's going to make people say, oh, now I don't believe in... What? How can you put all of that on a kid's shoulders?
On a kid who's been abused, by the way.
Mate.
Like, people really need to be going into the bin.
Really?
So, in 1999, it was reported to church members, and Frank wants to give Brett money, basically, as compensation and hush money.
Guys, guess how much he wants to give him?
Wait, we'll get there. And also, this bit really makes me sick. He wants forgiveness before he dies, because he's approaching death now, and he's heart
knocking
is
on death's door.
Okay. So, this deal was negotiated at a fucking McDonald's. Okay. And it's written down on a napkin. And that's how they discussed this deal. No dignity, no respect, nothing. Just
nothing.
Something written on a napkin.
Very obvious that, listen, I'm doing this, like, basically trying to buy his way into heaven.
Okay. So we learned that not only did Brian know about the abuse, but he was aware that Brett had come forward, basically. So he knew what his dad had done.
Yep.
And
at the time that he had done it.
Okay, so 2 months later, Brett calls Brian to chase the payment. And Brian essentially says to Brett, like, yeah, we're going to pay you, but like, just know it's your fault. You tempted my father.
Can you imagine?
A fully grown man was tempted by a little boy minding his business, playing with his action figures. Like, this, yeah. This stuff is deep-rooted in Hillsong. And what's scary to me is that this is a church where hundreds of whatever attend, yeah? And it was founded on paedophilia. Like, do you know what that means for the foundation of your church to be so corrupt?
Rotten
to the core. So fast forward to 2014, and Brian is summoned...
Sorry, rewind. Did we discuss how much he offered him?
Basically, the amount he gives him is £10,000, Australian dollars, right? And this is insulting.
Fam.
And I'm not saying that any money can make up for like emotional trauma.
Right, because I was like, there isn't an amount that I would hear that I would think, oh, great, yeah, great.
But £10,000 is not even close.
Thank you very much. Why did you bother?
Like, that can't even change my life.
You literally, are buying your way to heaven, but like, you're doing it even cheaply. Like, what is the minimum amount that I can give to someone to hopefully my soul to be saved? And this, I don't understand how this guy thinks he can just pedophile his way through life, yeah, and then die and then live in heaven.
I'm sorry, but like, if you'd at least need to, I'm not saying that this would be enough, but a starting place would be enough money for me to buy a house with no mortgage.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a home, like a big house.
$10,000 will do fuck all.
What's he saying? I don't even have a complete deposit for a house. So what are you talking about?
£10,000 wouldn't even really like help me much right now in my life.
If someone gave me £10,000 right now, I would put it in my savings and I would leave it there.
And that would be it. Like, I wouldn't wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I just got 10,000. I'll be like, okay, cool, savings, and move on with my life.
I put it in my savings.
And I still wouldn't have a house.
Yeah, I've still got work on one day. I still don't have a house. Yeah, literally.
It wouldn't even like...
I don't...
It would literally... I could finish that money on, like, very quickly planning this wedding.
Oh, but if you get them Chanel trainers that you wanted and a bag to match, that's you done. Finished.
That's me done out.
Done out.
Anyways.
It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
So in 2014, Brian is summoned for questioning regarding his response to allegations against his father, because in Australia, it's a crime for you to know that a child was sexually abused or in any sort of abuse and not do anything about it. So you actually are, which I think is really, really good.
I think that's good, yeah.
You are forced to report it, and it doesn't matter if the person is now an adult. So Brian is then questioned. And we actually learned that in 1999, there was a meeting where everyone was talking about this, and they knew Frank had been a paedophile, but they decided to keep it hidden. They basically just wanted to keep it quiet, continue to allow Frank to focus on his redemption, as they called it, and did nothing.
This is literally dangerous. This is negligent. This is criminal.
Literally. So after this meeting, they claimed that, Frank stopped preaching. This is what Brian was saying in his, like, court appearance that Frank stopped preaching, and that they kept him away, just focused on his repentance or whatever. And then they're like, hold on there, buddy, you've got a little bit too much dip on your chip, because in 2014,
because the lies you tell.
in 2004, your dad was preaching, and we get this clip.
Oh my God.
Your own folly can take you out of fellowship, but nothing can separate you from the love of God. And you, and the little boy back there, 2 little boys, one bigger than the other. Couple of little kids up there, all quite a number. Oh, look at that. You've got a young church here on your hands, which is very wonderful. How old are you, son? 8. I'm 8 too, but it's 82. But what a fantastic young fellow he is. Curly hair, good looking. And it's not your fault you're good looking. So thank God you are. Yeah. Big, strong, healthy, happy.
Basically, from the clip, if you listen closely, he's talking to a congregation, but it's not just a congregation, it's kids. So he's preaching to kids. Again, you've allowed this man around young kids. Children. And like, he's preaching to them, and then he starts talking to this boy, and he's basically saying to him, oh, you're really good looking, and you should be happy that you're good looking. It was just fucking
It was so
insane.
creepy.
It was so creepy.
It was so creepy. Like, I literally was watching it like, what the fuck? And also, well done to the documentarians here, because literally you get the whole bit about, we stopped him from preaching, we did the right thing kind of thing. And then footage from the time after they said he had stopped preaching. Yeah. And it's the most disturbing
footage of all time.
Of all time.
Like, even without context, this is weird.
Okay, so this is what I put in my notes. Is this like, even if there was no connection, even if I didn't know that he was a paedophile before that, listening to that clip just out of the blue, I would have been like, this is a creepy man. This is a creepy man. Be around kids.
He gives me. Oh, I don't think you watch Family Guy, do you?
No.
Okay, but those of you that do know who I'm talking about, he gives me that guy's vibes. Like, yeah. So
very, very, very strange.
On-screen text tells us that 8 men have come forward saying they were abused by Frank between 1965 and 1977. And
8 that have come forward.
So there are more. Okay,
so we're talking double digits.
Okay. So the Royal Commission found that Brian had failed to report the knowledge of child sex abuse. And basically on November 23rd, 2015, Hillsong released a statement in defense of Brian, essentially shaming the victim, saying that, like, oh, it took him so long to come forward and it wasn't Brian's responsibility. And it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. They were like, oh, well, he's an adult, he could have come forward himself. And it's like, that's not even the point. Even if you want to focus on the law, like, you knew about it and you didn't say anything. So whether he's 92 or he's 8, like, you knew about it and you didn't say anything. So you're still guilty. And this happened, like, this trial and stuff is in 2014, right? So it's kind of like... Yeah. At the time this is happening, your pastor is in court. So he comes to church on Sunday, and Monday he's in court for...
And people have all confidence.
Right, like... how
for something so heinous. Like, it's not even like, oh, he's in court for, like, unpaid parking ticket. Like,
yeah, bro. He drove a red light or whatever. Bro. He ran a red light. No. And the dad is even dead. Frank even died in 2004.
Do you know what?
So he did all his dirt.
Fam, it would kill me if I'm going to court for somebody like who's dead that I defended. Like, you have to ask yourself, was it worth it? He had died
10 years before this thing even went to court. This man is chilling. He did all his dirt and he's living, well, he's in hell.
Yeah.
If the God I serve is real, that man is in hell.
Yeah. Yeah. So, ideally the case should be tried. But Hillsong has so many political connections, nothing was happening. Literally fuck all.
Oh, I think I zoned out for this, but I was going to say, like, what was the outcome of that? They just, nothing.
You really zoned out. So people were chasing, like, bro, what the fuck is going on? And for a while, nothing happens. So we learn a bit more about Brian's psyche. He believes in conquering all 7 spheres of society, which is basically what a lot of these megachurch owners, like, think.
And it's also a way for them to justify them being so of the world.
Yeah. So media, arts and entertainment, family, religion, education, business, and government. And like this is why he has connections in all like stratospheres, because he really believes that when he's conquered all of this, people can think the way he thinks and he can take over, right? Cool. So the documentary is coming to an end now, and the talking heads are saying that even if Hillsong, basically they're saying that even if Hillsong ceases to exist, there are churches that exist that basically are built off of the back of Hillsong. So we will always have a Hillsong-esque vibe in the world,
100%.
essentially, unless Christianity becomes obsolete. So one talking head says, so the Ukrainian pastor actually says,
if we would be talking about Brian as a CEO or boss or businessman, we would not have this interview today. The reason why we have this interview, because he does not act like Christian. He does not deal the situation with us in a Christian way.
And I think therein lies the essence of this documentary.
That's literally the documentary.
That if that had been the one line in the documentary, that would have been fine, because it's the way he behaves. That he's not the worst of the worst, but the problem here is that he doesn't behave like a Christian, and he's meant to be building a Christian like whatever, but he behaves like a businessman, and it just
if he was the owner of a conglomerate or whatever,
he would even be quite ethical
sense.
Considering.
This would make a lot of sense, and we'd be saying, oh, go and give your motivational speeches. It's literally like that woman in the first episode that was like, look, like, or was it the second episode? Anyway, about Carl basically saying, like, he's charismatic, he's a great talker, he gets along with people. Cool, then harness these skills and do something else. Like, why are you in the church?
Yeah. So I really love this documentary because it's current. Like, they were making this documentary recently. They've kept on top of stuff. It's as relevant, it's as current as you're going to get. On Screen Text tells us in October of 2021, Brian was finally charged with concealing child sexual abuse. If convicted, he faces 5 years of prison. And he is pled not guilty.
5 years in prison.
Fam, lock that man up.
Music to my ears.
And throw away the key.
You will pay for the sins of your father on top of your own.
This guy, I'll double check, but I think he's worth $12 million.
Who, Brian?
I think so. No, Carl.
Oh, Carl.
1 sec, let me check.
Brian.
Brian.
I want Carl to come back and just do like a tell-all.
Oh, do you know what's funny is I do see him resurfacing.
Oh, he will, 100%. That's why I went on his Instagram, because I was like, he will come back. It's just a matter of time.
I'll talk a bit about this later. So Brian is worth 12,000 and Carl is worth 3 million. And
wait,
I personally,
Brian is worth what? 12,000?
No. Brian is worth 12 million and Carl is worth 3 million.
3 million, okay.
Yeah. So, okay, let's finish. So the last things we find out are basically on the 30th of January, Brian temporarily stepped down to defend the charges against him. And then on March 23rd, he resigned. So basically the day before the documentary came out. I could just see them scrambling to get that last
title card in. Yeah. I think that's why maybe there was so much on-screen text, because they didn't have time to like reshoot everything and do all the stuff. They had to just let us know what's happening as it's happening.
And that's probably why they couldn't do the closed captions as well.
Yeah.
So he basically it said that he resigned after an internal inquiry revealed violations of the church's code of conduct, and he's been violating, so don't tell me that bullshit.
He resigned. The church's code of conduct? He seems to like.
You seem to have none. But I think it's obvious that he resigned because him being charged with this thing does not suit the branding. Align. But I've said this many times before. People have their own opinions, but I will always say this: it has never sat right with me when a man, and I said this the last episode as well, when a man of God, is wealthy. It doesn't sit right with me. Personally, for me, I like money. I'm a Christian. I like money, and it's very important to me. So I know I would never be a religious leader, because loving money and leading people religiously, the two aren't in line with each other. Yeah. I don't think it's right. So like looking at Brian and seeing 12 million, for me, it doesn't sit right with me in any capacity. And this is what happens when you treat religion as a business. Yeah.
I liked this documentary. I really did.
A lot.
I think it gave what it was supposed to have gave. And yeah, like I really look forward to more documentaries from these people.
Yeah.
Because it was a good one. But now it's time for
The real crime, I think, was the beard.
our segment where we focus on something during the documentary that may not be criminal, but we definitely consider to be a crime. Have you got one? Because I've got one. Okay, I'll go then. So when we learn about the what's his name, Frank, sexually abusing Brett's, right? There's a quote from Brian. I don't remember if he says, if we hear him say it or whatever, but he is more spun by the fact that his dad is attracted to another male than to the pedophilia. So he's like, oh, I was just so surprised. It was, the homosexuality of it, kind of. He was more spun by that than his dad being a pedophile. And I was like, my brother, is everything okay in your head? Like, why is that the first thing? Nothing is okay. Yeah. I was like, is everything all right? Because this is ridiculous. How are you more spun that your pedophile dad is pedophiling little boys? You're more concerned about the fact it's little boys than the fact that it's little boys. So if it was little girls, you'd be like, oh, okay. Right. You'd be like, oh, okay. I see it. I can get with that. So you are homophobic and you are pro-pedophilia. Okay, cool. Got it.
My crime was that we didn't learn more about that gay guy's experience at... Yeah. Overall, Brando, I really would have loved... Yeah. They need to do another documentary on being gay and in Hillsong.
And the Christian church in general. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, that could be quite triggering for some. So,
I'd love to know what that guy experienced.
But then, to be honest, they do have that documentary. That documentary is Pray Away.
Okay, that's true. But not Hillsong, though.
Yeah. It's... I think this documentary was necessary. I would say that.
It was very necessary. Least. Yeah. And I really hope that, especially Black people, free themselves from the shackles of these kind of churches.
Yeah, I think just free yourselves from, like, religion. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yes, cool, you can have a relationship with God and love God, and I understand going to church and being led and things, but, like, have your own relationship with God. Like, you don't need that person isn't your connect. Like, literally, with Christianity, the whole belief is that now you have the Holy Spirit, now you have Jesus who can chat to you, to God, and that, whatever. You can even chat to God yourself, do all that. Yeah, you don't need this man, this human to take you there. Like, don't idolize another human being in the sake of religion or God. Like, it's just so weird.
Because human beings ain't shit all around.
Right. That part.
So what are we doing next?
We're doing the credits next because we've watched like 3 hours of documentary in a very short space of time.
It was very exhausting.
So yeah, we'll do a credits. I actually have an idea for a credits.
Ooh.
We'll discuss. And then that way, if we change it, it's not like we keep flippity-flopping and snip, snap, like we always do. So yeah, it'll be a credits. So there'll be no trailer today, but that credits will come out on next Sunday, right? Because we gave you 2 episodes. Yeah. Ooh, can we breathe? Yeah, so next Sunday, the credits will come out. This episode, it will come out when it comes out.
Guys, so you can find us Twitter on would be good. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, 2girls1doc. Please email us your thoughts, your reviews at 2girls1doc@gmail.com. Am I correct? Yeah. And leave us ratings and reviews.
Oh, you can rate on Spotify now, actually. So yeah.
Oh yes, and rate on Spotify. The more we get, we will compile and do a credit.
No, you can't do reviews. You can do ratings on Spotify.
Oh, ratings on Spotify.
So if you rate us 5 stars, I don't see why you do anything. Like, if you're going to do less than 5 stars, just don't do it. So if you rate us 5 stars, then it just means more people can find us.
Exactly. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening.
Yay. I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. My energy has been like low.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Go and she's very accessible. Go and after you finish.
Let me do it now. Let me do it now for the listeners. So what is it? What's her Instagram?
If you just search Tolu Badders, then it will take you to like if you go to Google, her Insta will be there.
Oh yep. Yeah. Yep, as I expected. Oh, her man's kind of cute though. What with the grey hair?
He's not bad. He's a bit salt and pepper. Yeah.
Okay then.
I'd marry him just for the surname.
Badass.
Like, you can't deny I'm a bad bitch if my surname is Badass. Like,
oh, there's his Instagram as well. Look, this is how you go down the rabbit hole.
Fam.
Oh yeah, there's more pictures of her on his Instagram than on her own.
I guess that's real love.
I came to his Instagram to find pictures of him. Oh, look at this picture. Hold on, I'm sending you the link. This is why, yeah, like
How are
you have to have adequate lighting for both complexions. Otherwise, it's just not a successful.
Send it via iMessage because I'm off. My WhatsApp won't work.
Oh, sorry, I've got WhatsApp on my computer.
I do, but it shouldn't work if your phone is on flight mode.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take it off flight mode real quick, just so that I can show it to you. Right, let's take it off flight mode real quick. Oh, it wasn't even on flight mode. All right, I've sent it, so you check when you can.
He looks like a ghost. Like, what the hell?
It's not flattering to him, and he's a good-looking chap.
Yeah.
Anyway, all in all,
I mean, that's what happens when you want
good-looking chap.
You just want your girl to shine in it. So.
Exactly, that's the point. Yeah.